Good morning again, and thank you for joining our webinar on exploring career pathways. This has been a much requested webinar, so I'm excited to have some incredible presenters with us today to discuss this subject matter. I am Yoruba Butler, and I serve as the Strategy Director for Post-Secondary Access at Alabama Possible. We'd like to recognize and thank our sponsors for supporting this work and making this webinar possible. Without their support, Alabama Possible would not be able to provide the assistance that we do without a participation fee. The Alabama Goes to College campaign works closely with several partners to implement the initiatives that we're going to discuss today. Thank you to our great partners, the Alabama Commission on Higher Education, Alabama Community College System, Alabama State Department of Education, and Get Educated, the Common Black College application that helps promote applying and enrolling at 65 historically Black colleges and universities. A few housekeeping notes before we get started. Please keep your microphones on mute at all times to avoid any feedback during the presentation. This webinar will be recorded and posted to youtube.com/Alabama Possible. You can submit your questions throughout the webinar using the chat feature. Please always select everyone when typing your question or comment into the chat. This way, everyone is able to see your question and we can reduce the number of duplicate questions that are asked. We will collect the questions throughout the webinar and will attempt to answer them towards the end during the Q&A section. Lastly, we have poll questions throughout the webinar, which are designed to get your real-time feedback. If you are a high school educator, we will need you to participate through the very end because there will be poll questions that you'll need to answer to receive your professional development credit. A few more things before we dive into the content. Please share your comment regarding building a college-going culture on social media at AL Goes to College and at Alabama Achieves. And please use the following hashtags so we can all see and learn from each other's work. Now, if you logged in a little bit late, we want to make sure that you're able to register your school for Alabama Goes to College campaign. High schools can sign up at alabamapossible.org/register 2024-25. We'll drop this link in the chat right now. On the registration form, you'll see schools are listed alphabetically. So there is a way for you to check to see if your school is already registered or not. We only need one submission per school. Now, if you're new to Alabama Goes to College, this is a statewide effort that works to ensure every student can plan for, pursue, and complete valuable post-secondary credentials. There are 3 components to the Alabama Goes to College campaign. All of them aim to support students to and through their post-secondary journeys and into their careers. To get started on our conversation about exploring career pathways, let's take a moment to review part of the Alabama Career Development Model that was introduced by the State Department of Education in October of 2022. This model provides targets by grade level as early as elementary school, as well as suggested instructional strategies to meet those targets. I thought, I thought we could ground today's conversation in the targets of grades 11 and 12. You can access the targets and the strategies at the link provided in the slides. This presentation will be sent to you in our follow-up email. The first target is continue to engage students and parents in the 16 career clusters. The second target is continue to build career pathways through academic subject matter and leadership experiences. The third target is continue to build knowledge in career education and employment opportunities. The fourth target is engage students and families in out-of-school activities to support career preparation. The fifth target is update and utilize career planning assessments to finalize post-graduation plans. The sixth target is assist students in course planning and continuing to acquire knowledge about careers, education, and employment opportunities. And the last target, target number 7, is the final review and updates to the personal education plan of study to meet the student's current career and educational goals and interests. Now, our first poll question is, what is one way you assist students in exploring career options? May, will you please launch the poll questions and let us know the results?
Yes, you should see that poll on your screen now, and it is free response, so I'll give everyone a little bit of time to type your response in. But we look forward to hearing what you share, and we will kind of gather up all the responses we get and share that out in future opportunities that we have coming up. So I'll let you know when we have a good percentage complete. As always, if you have any difficulty with the poll questions, feel free to send us a direct message in the chat so that we can troubleshoot those with you and hopefully work it out so that you're able to participate in our end of webinar poll questions. Those are required for professional development credit. So we have about 65% of respondents submitting so far. So I'm going to give it a few more moments before we go to our next slide. Okay, awesome. I'm going to close out this poll now. We had over 80% respond. So ending that poll and looking forward to reading through all of your answers. Awesome. So before we get started, there will be lots of resources shared today, but I wanted to just take a moment and highlight one specific resource that can be found through the Alabama Committee on Credentialing and Career Pathways. So when you're on the main landing page, which you'll be able to access through the link in our slide when you receive that in the follow-up email, when you're on the main landing page, you can scroll about halfway down and you'll be able to access reports on in-demand occupations. So these reports are available for the entire state as well as for your specific region of the state. And so these in-demand occupations are determined by certain criteria. So 3 things they absolutely must meet. They must be at least 70% of the median regional wage. They must show annual positive growth for the next 10 years. And then they must be projected to have a minimum of 15 openings a year. So you'll see on the screen here that I've included screenshots from reports for Region 1 and then Region 7. But if you download any of the reports for any region, you'll see the in-demand occupations sorted by the 16 career clusters that Yoruba was talking about. And then you can also scroll all the way down in these reports to the last few pages to see what you see highlighted on the screen here, which is the 25 highest demand occupations in the region, and then the 25 fastest growing occupations in the region. So among all of the resources that you'll be learning about today, this is just one way that you can leverage data for your specific region to have students think about and explore different career options. So we wanted to highlight that. And again, you'll have this linked in our slides when we send them out in our follow-up email, but I will now turn it back over to Yoruba.
Thank you, May. So let's go ahead and get started on our panel discussion. I will allow each of our panelists to introduce themselves with their name, title, organization, and brief description of their work. Kiwentry, if you would get us started.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kiwentry Fry. I serve as founding executive director for Strive Birmingham. Our organization is based in Harlem, New York, 40-year history, And our purpose is to ensure that everyone can achieve economic empowerment and upward mobility for themselves as well as for their families. And we are offering workforce development training for individuals who have barriers to employment and building career pathways. So 2 things that we offer is the training, but the most important thing is that we're focusing our trainings on not just a job, but also making sure that the individuals leave with a credential and a career pathway. And so we provide access to referring to wraparound services so that we can help individuals to navigate any barriers that they have. I work with youth and right now we're working with adults 18 and over, high school graduate, diploma, GED, or in the process of obtaining their GED. And prior to coming here, I worked with youth with Girls Inc., Woodlawn United, and the Birmingham Education Foundation. And there I work with individuals, with students with career readiness and leadership training. And there we provided internships as well as shadowing opportunities. Thank you for having me today.
Sure, I can go next. Hey y'all, my name is Yamini Bhatt. I'm the founding executive director of Birmingham Core. We are a little over 2-year nonprofit that is all about transforming service into career pathways. So we train, develop, place typically underestimated residents into high impact jobs that make a difference in their community. So our whole philosophy is around we believe people who are most proximate to the issues are those that are best poised to solve the issues in their own community. And we also think we define service pretty broadly. So and everyone on this call, you guys are in service, you're teachers, you're doing great work. And so we want to make sure all jobs that are doing providing a service to the community, making our community wholes, are being filled with great, passionate people from the community itself. We provide also a suite of wraparound services, career advancement workshops, one-on-one coaching, lots of one-on-one coaching. Almost like we have kind of become like guidance counselors for an adult population. And we've also now like starting to work with that more high school level age group as well. And then on the flip side, we do a lot of diversity and equity type work with employer partners, ensuring that they are implementing equitable hiring practices and recruitment strategies and things like that. So it has been so fun doing this work. But also before that, I was an educator for 6 years. I taught 7th and 8th grade, everything, 7th grade, everything, you know, you're kind of like nimble, just kind of like teaching all the subjects wherever the principal tells you got to be. And then 8th grade English. And then my mother also was she just retired from teaching and was a teacher for 30 years. So just want to say I'm really excited to be on a call with a bunch of educators and very grateful for the work you guys do in our state.
All right, and Tawana, if you would go next.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm super excited to be here. I'm Tawana Robinson. I'm a regional project manager with the Alabama Office of Apprenticeship. We're what is known as a state apprenticeship agency. And what that means is that we've been blessed by the U.S. Department of Labor with promotion, registration, technical assistance, and monitoring of registered apprenticeships here in our great state of Alabama. Registered apprenticeship programs can be for individuals as young as 16 years of age and up. So we're working really hard to make sure that individuals of all ages from all backgrounds have opportunities for registered apprenticeship programs here in our state. We're working really hard in terms of improving the level of service that is received by the individuals participating in these programs, by the employers that are seeking out these programs to fill those positions and build out those talent pipelines. We want to grow and diversify the types of apprenticeship programs that are offered in our state. Generally speaking, the state of Alabama's majority of their apprenticeship programs have always been manufacturing and construction focused. So we're looking to expand into those areas of healthcare and finance and education to make sure that every occupation that is a principal has that opportunity. And we're also looking to diversify the individuals that are participating in our programs, removing those barriers, getting individuals into these programs in those communities that are, underrepresented, underutilized, making sure that those opportunities are extended to everyone. And I think we've done a pretty good job. We've been doing this work since 2019. We were officially became an SAA state, as they like to call us, state apprenticeship agency in 2020, and we have progressively expanded the demographics of the individuals that are participating in our programs, grown the types of programs that are out there, and worked really hard in terms of removing barriers that keep individuals sitting on that couch, sitting on the sideline, and getting them those skills so they can get into these high demand, high wage opportunities and these amazing career pathways so that they can support themselves, their families, and be productive members of our communities here in our state. And again, super excited to be here.
Thank you so much. Well, with those introductions alone, I just want you all to know that I am super excited to hear what you ladies have to say. So another thing I do want to encourage our participants, if you have any questions, please make sure you drop them in the chat and that you do address it to everyone so that we can make sure we don't have any duplicate questions. But also our goal today is to have a robust conversation. So if there's any insight during the question period and any of you ladies have information that you want to share, please do so. We encourage cross conversation. So the first question is, how do you best assist your clients with the steps in researching and/or exploring career pathways?
So I will jump in, and right now, as I said, I'm working with adults. So I know we have many high school educators or counselors on the call. However, right now we are a sub-awardee of the Good Jobs Challenge through the city of Birmingham. And the focus of the Good Jobs Challenge is to increase the number of individuals who are trained and credentialed in healthcare pathways. Right now, we're offering the administrative medical assistant credential, as well as the sterile processing tech credential. So we're using the labor market as an organization. We'll use the labor market data to better understand what pathways are needed and what job vacancies there are. And also we use the employers. The employers actually approached us with needing sterile processing techs. So we're using that data as well. We do have a employment specialist and a career coach. So we provide a specific training pathway, and individuals that are interested in anything in healthcare, this could be a good start for them. The administrative medical assistant, the sterile processing tech, we have some in the course that have expressed they want to go on. They have different aspirations, maybe to be a registered nurse, but they want to start at this space with this credential. So I think even for those students who are in high school that may not want to go to college or not really sure what they want to do, I think, the best way to assist them is to provide the opportunity to them, because as soon as they're 18 and graduated, they're eligible for our courses. They are cohorted. We typically have one starting right after graduation. Since I came out of education with the youth, I'm very sensitive to hey, we have to schedule one, that starts in June shortly after graduation. So if any of those young adults are interested in an optional path, they have that opportunity. So, and like I said, we provide those wraparound services also because there may be barriers with transportation. So we just never know what some individuals are facing to get into a career. And the services that we help provide and refer out to, maybe they just did not even know they were available. And so, we provide mental wellness support. So there's just different elements that are built in to help individuals have attitudinal change and the confidence they need to keep a job, and not just to learn the occupational skill to do a job, but also to understand we're here to help you build a career pathway. So I think it's important, the career coach as well as our employment specialists, because they build relationships with the employers as well as the individuals.
I'd love to add, one of the things that we like to do, and also just to encourage, because a lot of people think Alabama Office of Apprenticeship, of course we do apprenticeship, but we encourage all forms of, and we support all types of work-based learning activities throughout our state. So one of the things that we do focus on in terms of helping individuals to find those career pathways is ensuring that they're aware of the continuum of learning for work-based learning activities, career awareness, career preparation, that exploration piece, knowing that, because a lot of times that missing piece is people aren't aware of what's available to them. So, making sure they have that piece, moving into that preparation piece where they're learning about what they want to do, also what they don't want to do, and then focusing and honing those skills for that job once they've decided on a career pathway. So I think by fostering that understanding and collectively supporting all work-based learning programs, supporting that continuum so that everybody has an understanding of how these programs work, what their functions are, and how we can collaborate and communicate together to get individuals to those next steps so they can take advantage of those amazing opportunities that exist here in our great state.
I was just gonna echo real quick on what Key and Tawana were saying. Exposure is so key to making sure folks know that they have different options, so they're not being pigeonholed into any particular like area, or their like options are limited. I'm just reflecting back on like my teaching when I was in the classroom. There's one thing I could have like done better, is just making sure you're exposing the students to as many different career pathways as possible. Because like Tawana was saying, just as life goes on, folks have to pivot. And so a large part of what Birmingham Core does is when they're ready to pivot, that's where we step in. And unfortunately, I know the need is greater than the individuals in the field doing this kind of career coaching work. And so one tool we use that we're about to pilot it with a local high school is using AI to help kind of almost like there are now like these digital career coaches that the students can have one-on-one chats with to start mapping out their game plan. And it's almost instead of an IEP, like individual education plan, it's like we call it an ICP. So an individual career path, like a career plan, and every student based on their interests, their strengths, are building out their futures and also their pivot strategies as they like hit certain stages in their careers.
That's excellent. For everything that you ladies shared, it's amazing how technology is starting to play a role in everything that we do. I'm going to go through all the questions that I shared with you ladies. If there's anything that you need to add, feel free. I don't want to duplicate too much. But the second is, what strategies do you use for supporting career exploration and preparation with your clients? Okay.
With the strategies that we use right now, I mentioned the career coach. So the students actually come in and they express to us what their ultimate goal is, because it's very important to understand what they want so that we can help them reach their level of success based on whatever their interpretation is. And so it's very important to listen to them, to understand, because we're in that space to get that information. And so we can help guide them in that way. And then right now, we're only offering healthcare. So what we have found, we were offering the administrative medical assistant, but when we actually launched in 2023, we had overwhelming amount of applications of interest, but everyone asked, do you have a clinical pathway? At the time, we did not. So one of my goals this year was to offer that clinical pathway. So we do have that sterile processing tech. So the community wanted a clinical pathway, and then our employer partners came and requested that we have the sterile processing tech. So that's just how we're offering the healthcare, because it was in demand, I think, as a result of COVID and the funding source that we have right now. But we will later offer either construction or logistics and transportation.
All right, excellent. Tawana, I see your mic's off.
Yeah, one of our strategies that we use, because we don't a lot of times get to work directly with the individuals that are looking for the jobs. They do come to us, but we do again support those programs that make these opportunities possible. So we do support activities such as doing those career assessments, exposing individuals to different types of industries through job shadowing opportunities, career and mentoring opportunities, connecting them with sponsors of our programs who actually have these programs up and running, and invite these individuals that are interested into their spaces. A lot of times with young people, we hear it all the time, they want to be what they see. And that pretty much goes for anyone. Having an understanding of what's available, going into those spaces and seeing them, getting that actual 3D experience of walking into those spaces really helps them to make decisions in terms of what's a potential career opportunity for me, what's available to me. If I've learned nothing else in working in workforce development for the past 6 years, there's so many opportunities that are out there. You could throw a rock and hit a building. People walk by places every day and they have no idea what's going on inside those spaces. All they know is people work there, they make good money. Right. So having those opportunities to connect with those business and industry partners, inviting them into your space, but also letting them invite you into theirs so you can get real live, exposure to those opportunities and see how they operate is a game changer for individuals that are looking for career pathways.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, Yamini, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to answer about the question of what's the most popular career pathway that's been popping up at Birmingham Core. So, I said earlier, our mission is we're transforming service into career pathways. That was very intentional. When we first launched, and this was right kind of like height of pandemic, we were getting a huge influx of job seekers that were folks that had stable jobs, like they were working in corporate or they were working some kind of like 8 to 5 desk job situation, and they were leaving their current employment opportunity because they were seeking for a deeper sense of purpose. And they wanted to be plugged in, which is kind of, like during the pandemic, I was leaving the classroom and pivoting to government. So I like that concept. I couldn't relate. I was like, I'm actually leaving service to go into a more 8 to 5 desk job. But yeah, on the other side, there was this whole other population that felt, and this makes sense now as I reflect, but disconnected, isolated from the community, and wanted a reason to wake up in the morning. And so that's when we were like, let's start building out career pathways that help people feel more connected to the community. And let's leverage people's transferable skills. So everything that you gain from your 8 to 5 job, don't throw that away. Let's just repurpose that for some good. And so when we first launched, I was a team of one. I was actually really nervous. I didn't even know. I was like, how are we going to launch for this? We had a big AmeriCorps program and we needed to recruit these relatively low, I mean, they're livable wages, but they're not high paid, by no means AmeriCorps jobs. I was like, how are we going to recruit for this when people don't even know who we are? We literally just launched like a week ago. But when we put out the descriptions of the or the service opportunities, we had within a month 139 people apply for our AmeriCorps program. We had more applicants for our AmeriCorps program that was paying about $16.55 an hour, I think the salary was $30K. We had more people apply for that than our actual internal positions that were paying like way more than that. And so thought it was interesting that people were in this space. They weren't even thinking about the money. They were thinking about the impact that they were going to make in the community. And so, I mean, I think that's beautiful. I think we should like go with that. I think we still need to make service high paid, high quality jobs. We don't need to just like, build off of or pull on the heartstrings of the people, because that's not sustainable. But I do think if we can also fuel that, if there are kids coming, our future workforce, that are passionate about service, about helping, about teaching, about healing, of anything, if they're like natural passions, like we should fuel that and encourage them to find pathways in that direction.
Love it. Also, to piggyback on question number 3, in terms of like, what are some of the most popular pathways that we see among our participants in registered apprenticeship programs? I can honestly say, advanced manufacturing, healthcare, information technology, construction. These are all areas of interest, in our programs where we're seeing a lot of growth. They're definitely, and these are definitely high demand fields. But to kind of piggyback on what Yamini is saying, there are opportunities that do exist that are these service opportunities that are amazing opportunities to give back to the community. And so, like she said, it's not sustainable to expect them to work for those lower wages. We just can't sustain it just based on good faith and helping them. So, knowing that those occupations are just as important, and they definitely are contribute to the success of our communities and to our state. And so we, want to make sure that we consider ourselves agnostic. Of course, those high demand, high wage opportunities are there, but if there's a need for it, and it is an apprenticeable occupation, and it's a definite career pathway of value for those individuals, can enrich their lives, enrich our communities. We want to make sure we're supporting those programs as well, and doing what we can to push those programs forward so they can be successful, and the people that are going into those workspaces can be successful as well. And that includes, doing the work to make sure that those wages align with, what a livable family supporting wage looks like in our state.
I just want, Tawana, you just made me think of one more thing. The wages, I mean, like the hard part is like service jobs, typically lowest paid, like when you're comparing to like getting I don't know, a job at like Alabama Power or something. I just read somewhere that a line worker makes like 65K, and I was like, whoa, like what starting salary. But going back, Key Tree, I was just thinking about reading some research. Healthcare, even though you start like we're like a clinical medical assistant, like makes about, I think, like 35 to 40K starting off. Within 3 years of being in that role, you can triple your salary. And like the employers, one cool thing that I don't know if students know this is a lot of these employers will pay for your further college education. We'll do to it like 100% tuition reimbursement, and then actually like push you further in your career. And so just kind of going back to what Tawana was saying, it's like these, like always moving forward, like it's not making sure students know this is not a one-stop shop. Like you do not stop here. This is just getting your foot in the door, keep going, and make sure you're thinking through of like which employers can invest in my education, my training, and who actually has the pathway within the company for higher wages too.
Right. And one interesting thing, because we do within our trainings, we explain to our students that they have the opportunity to upskill. We follow our students up to 2 years completing the program. However, they have lifetime access to Strive, right? But we talk to them about upskilling. But one thing, Yamini, about the employers paying for training, many of the healthcare employers now have started internal training. And so we had one of our students that graduated our first cohort last year. Her supervisor tapped her to do an internal training, like you just come to work like 4 or 5 hours earlier, so you kind of do a shift and a half, and they're doing internal training, and there's no reimbursement, there's no going to school. It's a literal on-the-job training for upskilling. So that's just important to note to any of the school counselors that have individuals who are interested in healthcare. Once you get started, get the credential, start in the healthcare field, they do have those employers that pay for continued education. However, the need is in such a demand that they're doing internal on-the-job training.
I have a question that I'm sure everybody on the call wants to know is, how can high school educators, especially school counselors, expose students to new career pathways?
So when I was with the Birmingham Education Foundation, we provided internship opportunities for the students in the Birmingham Career Academies. And not only just the internships, because they were cohorted into their specific career interests, but we also provided shadowing opportunities. And so, I think right now, during COVID, the shadowing kind of dismantled, because it was not an easy task to have additional individuals in the office, and many businesses just were not in their office. So I think what happens is many of your corporate organizations and companies have a community outreach department, and they have a corporate responsibility to serve the community. So building the relationships with the different companies, whatever that career pathway may be, they can send someone to the school, because even now for our students that are adults, we have our employer partners to come and talk to the partners to come talk to our students. What are some of the career pathways that you can have? What are some of the what's the culture like working at X hospital or healthcare facility? And so they can actually come out and talk to the students at school. But I think in smaller groups, I think that they can also you could also take the students to to explore those environments as well.
Well, one of the things I want to add to that, because I know, oh, I thought I was on mute, I'm sorry. One of the things I do want to add is that I know that there's a lot of, there is a lot of career exploration activities. There's the, job shadowing, the career exploration, career fairs and all of that. Those things are all important. But one of the keys to making all of those possible, making those things to be successful is relationships. I think we have to do a better job of building relationships with business and industry partners and bringing them into those spaces so that they can share that information, just like Ms. Fry just said. That interaction is super important to the students, giving them that firsthand opportunity to speak with individuals that are in those industries, as well as visiting those industries and getting that firsthand experience of walking through those buildings, seeing those occupations in action. But relationships matter. And so we have to do a better job of having good relationships with the business and industry partners that are in our area, throughout our state, and inviting them into our spaces, not just for us, but they need to work on those relationships as well. They can't just expect our students to graduate and go work for them and just know what they have to offer, right? And the only way that's going to happen is we have to build communication. We have to build those relationships and make sure that we're interacting with each other in a way that is beneficial to those students as they're making these decisions. And a lot of times, I'm just going to be honest, a lot of times they step in right when they are juniors and seniors. My personal opinion is too late. Our business and industry partners should be involved with our school systems earlier. They really should be. They should be participating in those exploratory and awareness activities with those students when they're in, middle school and elementary school. Being visible, having a footprint in those school systems that say we are here, we want to be a part, we want to support these school systems, support the students, and we want them to know that what we have to offer them once they're ready to go into the workforce. So again, I'll probably say this 30 times, relationships matter, guys. Building those relationships is a key component in making sure that our students get successful opportunities.
I'm just saying, no, relationships are so crucial, and leveraging them, and these are all the things I feel like as a teacher, when I was only thinking about the day-to-day of getting the kids prepared for the end of the year, but not thinking through of actually exposing them to all the different options and building those relationships. And how do you do that early on? It makes me think of, I had a student, she was from my first year teaching, so 2015, 16, and she's wrapping up college, and she reached out to me and was like, hey, can you connect me with someone to get an internship? And I just didn't even realize how hard it was for students to find these internships. And unfortunately, a high school counselor, you only have so much time in the day to set each individual person up with an internship. So one thing that we are really encouraging is being very direct with companies and being like, hey, especially companies who have an HR team that is very happy to serve in the community, and being like, hey, would you mind donating or volunteering some of your time by a meeting for 30 minutes with our students, and letting the students take initiative of reaching out to the individual and being like, hi, I'm so-and-so. I am a 12th grader about to graduate from here. I'm interested in this. Do you mind having a 30-minute chat with me? It's so much, it's sustainable. You can do it virtually. So it's equitable. You don't have to, if there's not time to schedule a bunch of field trips or workshops or any of that, at the end of the day, they could at least get a 30-minute meeting with someone who is at the head of in recruitment in these HR offices, and can give them the most relevant career advice, because these HR recruiters are always staying sharp with the latest trends in workforce, where the next future opportunity at their company is going to be, how to get there, what the training looks like. And it would be a very valuable use of the students' time.
And I think too, one other thing is they're willing to even do mock interviews.
Mm-hmm.
They are willing to come to do whatever. I think it's a matter of, like you said, Yamini, there's only so much time in a day that a high school counselor has. And that was one of the things that, where we kind of stood in the gap when I was at the Birmingham Education Foundation, because we were able to come to them and say, hey, we can do this for you. But You know, if you want students to have that experience with mock interviews, it doesn't have to be the teachers or the individuals, at the school level. Like I say, they have a corporate responsibility and a community outreach department. Some of them have like retirees who are saying, what can I do? Like Alabama Power, like, I have retirees. They're wanting to volunteer. And so, we're like, okay, this is the day for our mock interviews for our adult students. So I think, like Tawana said, the relationships are really important. So it may take some time to build all of the relationships. There may be a way for individuals like us on the panel to help forge those relationships for those counselors and educators, to make it just a simpler process to understand what we do, how we do, and what can be offered. But I think it's just a way for the students to interact with individuals who are in the workforce, for them to give direct but age appropriate feedback, but also to network with them. Because what we found, even when I was working with the youth, they were relatable. They were able to give them that hard constructive feedback, but also relate to them as a human. What else do you do? We're here to talk about a resume, but what else do you like? What else do you do? So I think it's important to not just, even understand about the job, but we could also build those relationships to make it, a practical experience.
And one more thing I want to add to what these two ladies just said. They brought something in my mind. Another opportunity too, in terms of strategy for letting students know what's available, is for the educators, our educators themselves, our counselors. And I know, like I said, there's only so many hours in a day, but taking opportunities to do externships, learning about those career pathways yourself, going into those spaces, connecting with those employers so you can communicate that information more effectively to your students. We did a couple summers back, we did a really successful externship through the Alabama Office of Apprenticeship, with some of our career and educational partners. We brought them into some of our apprenticeship sponsors, their programs, let them do a tour so they can learn about those programs firsthand, and then take that information back to the school and communicate and let their students know what was available to them. So I think it works in reverse as well. We have to do a better job of learning about those spaces, learning about those opportunities, so we can communicate as educators, I'm a former educator myself, to those students what's available to them. So I think that's also another important strategy that can be used, getting educators those opportunities for externships where they go into those business and industry partners, workspaces, and learn about those opportunities themselves and take that back to the school system.
All right, excellent. And before we close out, I know that we did get one specific question with one of our registrants when registering, sent a question, and I think it will be best answered by Tawana, but if you ladies have any insight that you would like to share as well, please feel free. But the question or the statement was, I would like to know if there is a database or something that tracks companies that offer apprenticeship programs.
Okay, great question. And there is on our website at alapprentice.org, and I'll drop that link into the chat. We have a apprenticeship dashboard link, and where you can go click on that link, and it will take you to a map of our state, and you can see all the apprenticeships that are actively open and running in our state right now. You can even change it from a map view to a listing view, where you can go in and you can tell it that you want to look in a certain part of the state, you want to look for a certain occupation. I want to look at welding, I want to look at nursing, I want to look at electrical, or early childhood. We have apprenticeships in pretty much almost everything right now. So you can go in and specify that you're looking, and whatever that is, it'll populate. It'll give you the occupation, who is sponsoring that program, and the point of contact for that program. So again, that's alapprentice.org, and it's the apprenticeship dashboard. You can also find information on apprenticeship in general, what we're offering, any new information about new apprenticeship programs that are coming down the pipeline. And also know that list is a living, breathing beast. We're always adding new programs every day. So if you don't find what you're looking for, give me a call and I'll look to see if we have something that just simply hasn't been put on the list yet that exists. We're a small but mighty office, and we are always open to answering a phone call from anyone who's interested, students, educators, industry partners, you name it, give us a call. We're here to help.
So Birmingham Core, if you go to birminghamcore.org/opportunities, that's where we dash. It's nothing fancy. We don't have any fancy job board yet, so bear with us, but it is where we house all our opportunities, everything from full-time opportunities to paid service learning opportunities like through AmeriCorps, or even free training programs. So right now we actually, very similar to Key Entry, we also have a Good Jobs Challenge grant, and we are just announced that we are training, developing, and placing 20 local residents into clinical medical assistant roles. So it's free tuition, 100% free at Jeff State, 25-week training program, and then a direct placement at a local hospital here. And so these are where we will every opportunity, whether it's a free training opportunity or employment opportunity or paid service opportunity, will be housed at birminghamcore.org/opportunities.
Yes, and I think as far as the apprenticeship goes, Tawana probably has the most extensive list. But if anyone is looking for anything particular, like we will offer the healthcare trainings at Strive through September 2025 before we will, change our career pathway. We're locked in with the money. So we have to stay at healthcare right now. And, we at strive.org, but I definitely will be looking at Tawana's list because I'm very curious, not just for the work that I do, but for also the individuals that are around me so that I can assist them in any kind of way to understand the career pathways and apprenticeships that are available.
All right, excellent. Well, thank you, ladies, so much. Being that this is the first time that I'm having an opportunity to meet you all, I can definitely see where you are exceptionally passionate about your work and the individuals that you work with. So thank you very much. Okay, so thank you so much for your feedback. To obtain your professional development credit, we wanted to let you know that the course number is 322-173. Again, that course number is 322-173, and the section number is 510249. Again, the section number is 510249. And we'll make sure that we share this information with you in the follow-up email. It will be on the slides. And you do need to make sure that you register in PowerSchool in order to receive the credit. So please make sure you do so promptly. And May, did you say you wanted to look at the questions, or I do have to save the dates, but we can definitely look at the questions so that everyone will hear them before they leave.
I was just going to share a few just in case folks didn't have access to the chat if they're on a phone or some other device. But one person did ask if our presenters were willing to share their contact information. So I just wanted to mention that if you are willing, feel free to drop that in the chat, or if you're comfortable, we could also share in our follow-up email. That is totally up to our wonderful presenters. Several of the answers did get answered several of the questions got answered in the chat or will be available through our slides when you're able to click the links. But we got one question about the AI tools that are offered as it relates to job coaching. And so we had an awesome resource shared about a sample ChatGPT that a 10th grader could use. And then we also have some cautions around that, making sure that students know not to put any personal information in any kind of AI platform like their name and address. But that's definitely something that students and educators can check out. I love the sample that was provided. There's a link in the chat. We can also add that to our follow-up email as well. And then alongside that, we did get mentioned that Get Schooled also has an AI feature for students to use, so that can lead them through like job interview samples and similar activities. Let's see if there's anything else I'm missing. I believe the rest of it will all be answered through the links in our slides. Tawana did add a resource that we can put in our follow-up email for more apprenticeship information. So if that's of interest to you, we'll make sure that's there as well. But I will go ahead and put our save the dates up on the screen so that you can go ahead and get those added to your calendar.
All right, thank you, May. So a few upcoming events that we want to make sure that you all are aware of. A week from today, we're going to have our Alabama College Application Campaign webinar that is on our website under on our events page. So you can go ahead and register for that. And our guest speaker on that day will be Dr. Monica Mack, who is the education specialist of instructional services with the Alabama State Department of Education. Then also as a reminder, on Friday, September 20th, it will be the Why Apply Day, and this is being sponsored by the American College Application Campaign, and it's an initiative with ACT's Center for Equity and Learning. And then we are working on confirming October 2nd and October 23rd for our College Admissions 101 for the in-state colleges and universities. And then we're working on October 23rd for our Cash for College FAFSA 101. And then, of course, as a reminder, we want to make certain that you all know and share the information regarding our help desk that's available to you all, community leaders, educators, students, and their families. And you can either call or text us at 334-316-6155. And we're available during the all weekdays with the during the business hours, with the exception of any holidays. And we really encourage you to share this information with your students. And then last but not least, we want to always ask you to please stay connected. You can find us at alabamagoestocollege.org, or you can email us at algoestocollege@alabamapossible.org. Thank you so very much for staying with us during this this wonderful webinar. Thank you, ladies. We really appreciate your time. And thank you so much. And we hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your week. Thanks so much for joining us.